And
What?
so that I know that's why I was like, I cannot believe these went viral and it took me little time to make when the ones I spent hours
Yeah.
buying costumes, buying wigs. But, that's just how it goes in the social media world. It's so weird.
Welcome again to It Doesn't Take a Genius, conversation with introspective perspectives and pithy points of view. Here are your hosts, my friends, Max and Marty.
I think that's Mark and Mike.
Yeah, whatever.
All right. Well, so this is the second, I think you're going to be, Karen, the second episode in the row that we've had where it has not started with my colleague, Mike Marshall, yelling out my last name. So, for what it's worth, that's just, I'm going to head and acknowledge that for our audience, both members of our audience. But I have with me today, Karen Cass, who I suspect some people in my audience are going to know because we have a lot of teacher related folks in the client base. But Karen Cass, for those of you who don't know, she is an actress. She is an improviser. She is very much in a comedy vein. And oh, by the way, she has 2.4 million. Am I right about that? 2.4 million followers on TikTok and hundreds of thousands on Instagram and various other places. So anyway, welcome, Karen, to It Doesn't Take a Genius.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Oh, I am tickled to death. We got to know each other on a project we were both a little bit a part of for Portia, and I just like the longer I got to know you, the more I was like, man, she's really cool. And then the last time I saw you, like you just sort of casually dropped into the conversation. Yeah, I went viral. It's like, oh yeah. Like I've had things spin up too. Sure, I've had tens of hits.
And I would hope that that came out naturally instead of me being like, by the way, I'm a viral person.
It was so natural because I basically had to pull it out of you bit by bit. Like,
Yeah.
what happened? And
Yeah.
then finally realized, what the story was here a little bit. But I'm actually really interested to learn, sort of more about how this all went down. So I guess let's start by saying you are part of the improv theater troupe Dad's Garage, which is based in Atlanta. Like you've been there I think almost 3 decades, right? Big part of.
Uh, I wish I was there 3 decades. I would have started at
Well,
7 years
yeah.
old. But yeah, but dad's is definitely, yeah, they started in 96. Yeah.
Okay.
I would be an improv genius.
Yeah, you're
No,
really good.
but I actually started there in 2010. So I guess this summer will be, what is that, 13 years?
Wow. And was that like a transition from another line of work that you dropped into that, or?
So I graduated college with a bachelor of arts in theater. And then
Makes sense.
when I came back home, I auditioned for this thing called the Unified Auditions in Atlanta, which I just found out I don't think they do anymore. But anyway, it's where you can audition for all the theaters around Georgia. And Dad's Garage saw me. They invited me to an improv for actors class. And
Huh.
then after that, the rest is history. I started that class in 2010 and I am still with them today.
Wow. So I have to think that is fairly rare for an actor to go straight from I got training in theater to a theater hired me for further training to they've kept me around to do gigs the whole time.
I mean, it was amazing. I will say, I mean, it's not a full time, it pays my full bills type of job. I
Yeah.
mean, that would be amazing if we could be full time improvisers. But it, after a while, I was able to start teaching classes. And then I got
Yeah.
on ensemble, and then you start getting paid for shows and doing gigs. So over time, like it really has helped me tremendously. And yeah, it was a huge honor to be able to be plugged in pretty quickly after college.
That's amazing. Yeah, I had a drama teacher in high school, and she came from a family that had been involved in acting, and it was just to get a gig. Was she
Yeah.
always talked about to get a gig was a blessing, and she had I think it was her father. His cemetery is in Cincinnati, where
Mhm.
his he doesn't have a whole cemetery. He actually just has one grave in the cemetery.
Okay, I was like, wow, he owns a
Yeah,
cemetery.
he's really special. But in Rain Man, there's a scene that sort of like goes over top of the cemetery, and the family joked like, he finally made it into the movies. He finally did it. So like just all that work to be getting all that work seems awesome. And I know there are some of our audience members who are saying, what are we doing talking about this on a workplace podcast? So I have three things that I really wanted to cover with you, and the first will maybe be sort of self-explanatory to answer that question.
Right.
You have found a niche. You have come up with an audience that, I mean, they like you so well that not only are they, sharing and following you and all that, but like you're going to be on a cruise for a teacher thing next year, right? So could you just give us a little bit of the background of like sort of how this thing spun up to where what you've done is you have found a market, an audience, and you
Right.
have engaged that audience, and everybody who listens to this podcast is trying to do the same thing in their industry. So I would just love to hear the improv actors version of what that looked like.
Right. Yeah. Well, when the pandemic started, which we can all relate to in 2020, because I was a freelance actor, I lost every job,
Oh yeah.
everything I had lined up for the rest of the year. And so I started the app TikTok, mainly out of uh, boredom and trying to just keep entertaining because that's all I did anyway.
Yeah.
And so I started it not meaning for it to be anything but that. Eventually, I started gaining an audience, and this was the first time, mind you, that I started doing things on my own rather than with a group of people.
Oh.
I've never done like solo comedy, and it's
Uh-huh.
something I've always wanted to do. So I really started enjoying it. I started doing these rom com series and these like 80s movie spoof series, and I had a blast. And I guess around September, I decided I'm just going to do a random character. And up until that point, I didn't talk in my videos. I was just kind of nervous about it. I don't know why. I decided to do a teacher character because my mom was a teacher for decades and I had inspiration from it. And I was a student forever. So let me try this. It took me 10 minutes to film it. I went to sleep, woke up the next morning, and that video had over 500,000 views, the most views I have ever had. And I was completely overwhelmed. I had no idea what was happening. So from that point on, my followers, it just started skyrocketing. I started getting comments, messages. And so I thought, okay, let me go ahead and try another one. So then I just kept riding that train. And through that time from September 2020 up until now, I've just built this huge audience of students, which is most people, if they've been one or if they're in one now, and then teachers. And then I started posting on Instagram. They all went to Instagram. I started posting on YouTube. They all went to YouTube, Snapchat. And so now I just have this whole network and system of teachers and students that follow me.
So I want to back up because I think the way you described that's really interesting. You had always done the group stuff. That's dead.
Mm-hmm.
And you really wanted to grow in this other area. So you thought you'd try some
Right.
stuff, and it kept you entertaining. It kept you fresh, I guess, kept you, your skills sharp. Maybe, I don't know if I'm
Oh
putting,
yeah, definitely.
that's okay.
Yeah.
And then, you didn't hit pay dirt right away. You had, but honestly though, like the rom-com stuff,
Oh gosh.
that might be my favorite. Like
I
the bartender guy, like that.
me
Oh,
too.
that killed me.
You watch those? Oh my
I did.
gosh. I had so much fun doing those. It took me, I'm not kidding, 6 to 7 hours a day to film one. But
Holy.
I had so much fun doing it because I told myself I only want to post stuff that I enjoy doing. And I built an audience for that. And I was actually doing lives where I would put wigs on and the people watching would give me character ideas and then I would just improvise on my
Oh,
lives. It
jeez.
became like a almost like a Karen night live for once a week. And it was a blast. I had so much fun. so when the teacher thing hit, it overwhelmed me so much because it kind of pushed in a whole new audience, and
Oh.
it definitely changed my world. And that's when I realized I could get paid for TikTok, and I had no idea.
So that I got to say one other thing though about the early stuff. Was
Yeah.
that in the time frame that you did the there was like there's a an 80s movie spoof that was like a synthesizer
Yep.
soundtrack from a dude that's on YouTube. I can't remember his name. He's really clever.
Oh, yes, I actually did that. Oh man, I should know his name. I actually did that a few months ago.
Oh, so that's
Yeah,
relatively new. Okay, because I was going to
that
say
was
that's
new.
really good.
Thank you. So honestly, the teacher stuff I love doing,
Yeah.
but I would love to dive into more of the like 80s nostalgic, like
Oh my gosh.
food. I love it.
Yeah, my it's I'm way too chicken. I don't like it. I just want to watch light things, but my wife somehow got talked into watching Stranger Things, which she's not a geek,
Oh.
so I don't know how that happened. But like after, I'm like sitting in the background listening to it, doing other stuff, and I'm like, "Oh, that's why Kate Bush's Running Up the Hill has been, so big deal." Anyway, that's nothing to do with this, but yeah, like so it pushed in a whole new audience,
Yes.
and you basically had to, as you say, ride that train. So what did ride that train look like?
Well, I just kept posting teacher videos. That's from that point on for a long time. All I posted was teacher stuff.
And was it still taking like 6 hours a day to film?
Oh, that's the craziest part is I would just get a teacher idea, like, teachers when you're late to class, something as simple as that. And then I would just get in front of a camera. I would improvise for about 10 minutes, and then I would cut and edit my video in total time, maybe close to an hour, and then I'd be done. And so that I know that's why I was like, I cannot believe these went viral, and it took me little time to make when the ones I spent hours
Yeah.
buying costumes, buying wigs. But, that's just how it goes in the social media world. It's so weird.
And were you having two-way communication with the new audience? Like you were talking about you would do the live stuff with wigs, but once the teachers and the students found you, like
Hmm.
what was that? How did you engage them other than just you had great ideas?
That is one thing that I don't want to say I regret, but I feel like I don't want to say I lost that audience because I definitely still have um a lot of those people from the rom coms commenting on my new videos. But I had such a close knit group of people following me that I knew
Uh,
who everyone was when they commented, and I respond to every single person. So when it got to where it was so many people, they kind of just started getting lost in the flood, and I couldn't respond to comments anymore.
oh yeah.
I was like, that's the only negative part about it is building a relationship and interacting so closely with every viewer is very hard.
Yeah, well, and you're maybe, I mean, there's probably a lesson right there, just that, you know, this was able to make you money, but you had to
Right.
change how you went about doing it, and it wasn't necessarily, I feel like everybody I talk to wants to talk about a tribe and a
Mhm.
community that you're building, and you have. It's just a different one than
Right.
the OG group.
Different type.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you have a team that helps you with all of this?
I don't. Well, okay, so I will say a lot of the videos I did after the teacher started going viral were suggestions from viewers. So that was
Ah,
one thing
okay.
is I had like a year's worth of suggestions, and I was like, great,
Oh
I'll
my
just take them.
gosh.
It was awesome. And then of course my mom, I got suggestions from her because she was a
Yeah.
teacher. But as far as like brainstorming and sitting and writing with people, I don't have a team behind me besides myself for my videos. Besides the ones I've posted recently with my friend Ricky Boynton, who's the superintendent in my videos now,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
starting to collaborate more.
Okay, okay. And the videos that you did in the past with was it Mark was the guy's name who's across the fence? That
Yep.
is that is the April Fool's sketch. That is by
So
far
good.
my favorite.
Mark
But
Kendall and Bill Worley, they're incredible.
huh.
They have a production company called Cool Productions, but um, that video, I am not kidding you. I posted it on YouTube, and you saw it, so the quality of it is amazing. A
Yeah.
lot of people were commenting, "Oh, this looks a lot like WandaVision," which don't judge. I have not seen WandaVision, but apparently it's really good. And so, with in less than a year, that video hit over 14 million views on YouTube. And I told them, I said, you guys, we got to like figure something out. We got to keep doing this. So we are now all working. They're helping me write a teacher series, a long form teacher series for YouTube that we're going to hopefully in the next several months film. They have access to a school, and then I can start doing long form teacher series. Isn't that great?
Oh man, I didn't know we were going to get industry intel here about what's
I know,
coming.
and no one knows that. So, breaking news.
Yep, that's I'm basically the Drudge Report of the Atlanta acting scene. Um so okay, one more thing about the team though, because I feel like the like I don't know how monetization really works with some of the social media sites, but you've got you've got that, you've got planning out your work, there's the shooting and scripting. Is it really just you? Is there no other besides other actors that you're sort of pinging ideas with that might be in some of the videos? Is it really just you?
Yeah, as far as the videos, again, for the most part, besides the ones I just posted with Ricky, it's just me. It's just me. Unless it's a suggestion from a viewer, it's something I come up with. I
Yeah.
get in a wig, I improvise for about 20 minutes, and then I cut and edit and post.
Okay.
And I do have a social media agent that helps me get ads, so I will say that's been
Okay.
helpful.
Okay. I feel a little better about that then.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
that's
I could not make a living just off my video pay. It's also based off of brand campaigns and stuff like that.
yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
So I guess maybe this is related, maybe it's not, but I've worked with you. Obviously I have not acted with you, but you and I have been on projects together, and you're very gracious about how you sort of interact with the client and with how you worked with me in the room. And I don't want to this is Porsche's sort of special thing, and I don't want to say too much about their project because they've
Right.
come up with a really clever thing where they're making use of you in Dad's garage. But I sensed that improv and the ethos around improv was part of what you brought to the room that made you so easy to work with. So I don't know if I guess I wanted to just sort of turn it over to you to talk about, what is it that the improv way of being sort of brings to the workplace, if I could throw it to you like that, maybe.
Um, I would say creativity for sure is
Hmm.
one of them. You know, we teach an improv to yes and every idea.
Yeah, I
So
knew that was going to come up.
yeah, you knew it. Improviser going to talk about yes and, but and I still struggle with this just because sometimes I'll have ideas and I think to myself, oh, that'll never work, or that's not
Mm.
funny enough, or no one's going to like that. But, something that I do is I try and write down every idea that I have. And there might be one that I wrote months ago that I'm like, I don't think that's going to be good. And then I just give it a shot and I try it. And it might stick to the wall and it may not. But I
Uh,
tell myself, it's okay. Like you have to keep going. So that's one thing with improv, that every idea can be yes anded. Even if it doesn't start great, it can end up being great. Yeah,
so
I think that's the biggest thing for me.
and that really ties into what you said before, because the rom-coms and everything that came after it, the spoofs, and then eventually the teacher thing.
Hmm.
But you're the whole time you're saying, yeah, let me see what I can do here, let me try this, let me try this, let me try this.
Absolutely.
um
And oh, sorry, go ahead.
go ahead, please.
Well, I was gonna say that's a big thing about if anyone ever wanted to get into this industry about finding your niche is just throw things at the wall. Just film anything that you want to film, have fun with it, and eventually you will find your audience. And that's what happened with me.
Yeah.
And then I just rode that train.
So that's something that people like Mike, my co-host, and I have actually talked about a lot is, we want to find our niche, right? Every,
Right.
we work with a lot of car dealerships. Every car dealership wants to have, niches. Their salespeople and their service advisors probably ought to have niches of customers that just get them,
Mhm.
And so I don't think it's that much different. And I think the other thing you said there that's a big deal for the workplace is iterating. Like you just kept trying things and took
Mhm.
little steps, and it didn't have to be this big production. I'm going to wait until I get it perfect, and then I'm going to launch this marketing campaign. Just go try something and see what happens.
Yes.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
great.
You can't judge your idea before it gets put on paper. You just can't. You just got to try it.
You can't judge the idea. You've just got to try it. I
Yeah.
love it. One last thing before I wrap this up and ask you to tell us your contact information so people can follow you that aren't familiar with you. You've kind of already hit on it a little bit, which was write every idea down on paper.
Mhm.
Don't say no to anything. Give it a shot. Are there any other things that are sort of like daily habits or weekly or monthly habits that are a part of how you have gone to market, if I can say it that way?
Um, so that is definitely one of them is, any idea you get, just write it down, jot it down. The other one is staying consistent.
Mm,
Especially with what I do. It can be tough to be consistent, but just tell yourself, okay, I'm going to do 2 or 3 videos this week. And you can film them all in one day and then, have them backlogged and post them throughout the week. But staying consistent
mm.
and not getting discouraged. So I know at least with this industry that I'm in, there could be a video that has maybe 10,000 views, which sounds like a lot, but with as many followers as I have, it's not. And
Uh-huh.
so I have to tell myself, that's okay. I'm going to keep posting. I'm going to do it again tomorrow because
Right.
that's what I do. And the other thing is staying true to yourself because there have been times where I'm like, okay, let me just do this video that I know is going to get views. Let me just do this trend that's going around. But then I rewind and tell myself, I'm doing this to do things that I love.
Mm.
And I have created a voice and I'm going to stay true to that voice. And so even if they don't hit, even if you get discouraged, you just have to keep going.
So that's really interesting because, at the same time that you're trying to be consistent about saying yes and writing it down, you're also being consistent about, okay, it's got to be real. It's got to be authentic to what would, turn my crank.
Right.
So I guess that's the and part of the yes, right? Like you wrote it down, and as you
Yeah.
think about it, you're like, wait a minute, that's not that, because that would be not true to me. But I'm trying to use your language, but
Yeah. Yes. And
there's a version of that that would work. So
exactly.
okay, that's
Yeah.
really really interesting.
It is interesting. And a good example is there are a lot of videos that work well on YouTube where a character is in my people in social media that are in my same realm. They're very exaggerated, and that's great.
Yeah.
And I've found that viewers have told me I play it very genuine, where it doesn't seem like I'm making fun of somebody. And there's so many times where I'm like, oh, but what if I do exaggerate it? But I appreciate that I've created a voice where I can stay genuine to the character. And so that's just something that I have to tell myself is no, I'm going to stay true to this.
That's I agree with that. I agree with that because and the camera is so close to you. It seems much more, intimate than a
Mm,
lot of YouTube videos, especially like my wife is sick of me watching dank meme like master edits on YouTube, like like vines of yesteryear, and I'll watch, like 30
yes.
minutes of vines.
Oh, yeah.
But like the ones that are really good are more like that. The ones that are super exaggerated, they better be like all the way exaggerated. If they're
Oh,
not,
yeah.
it looks fake. It looks fake.
Exactly. If it's or it could be seen as offensive. Like it's a really weird, like thin line. You got to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
careful.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's well said. There's a guy that he it's just him in a kitchen, and he pours out cereal into a bowl, but it's lemons. And then they just do a close up of his face, and he, just the goofy looking guy with scraggly hair, and he goes, "Well, if life gives you lemons." And that's it. Like, that's, he just says that. He doesn't go crazy or anything. And then they play the Thomas the Tank Engine closing music while his head rotates around in a circle. The end. It's like 10 seconds of genius.
And it has 30 million views.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, like so good that it's been copied onto these edits that I watched. Anyway. Okay. So Karen Cass, thank you so much. So I know your TikTok handle is one word, Karen Cass, with 6 S's.
6 S's, yeah.
I counted them.
Oh, yes.
Instagram, it's Karen D as in dog Cass with 3 S's. Karen D Cass, 3 S's.
Yeah, I wanted to make it really confusing for people.
Well, but you kept it multiples of 3, and I think that's what's important.
Okay, yeah.
So is there any other way that I know you're in the middle of a show right now, but it's probably going to be off stage by the time this airs, but anything that you want to talk about that's coming up that people might be able to find you at?
Well, I also am on YouTube with the same screen name as Instagram, which is Karen Decas.
Okay.
With
3 S's.
3 S's.
3
Yeah.
S's. Okay.
And I will say there's something coming up at Dad's Garage that we have not announced yet that I am going to be a part of. So I would say stay tuned to dadsgarage.com because I'm going to be a part of a production that's going to open in September.
Oh,
that
cool.
Is very exciting. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Okay. Well, I'm going to let that be the last word. I'm tickled to death that we could arrange this, and I hope everybody on my feed here goes out and finds you and enjoys your comedy. It's just hysterical.
Thank you so much. This was so fun, Mark. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, you're awesome. All right, we have a professional voiceover artist who recorded our outro. So I'm going to shut up and let him talk now.
And that's a wrap. It doesn't take a genius. The blog dedicated to reducing the irreducible. Next time, prime numbers. What makes them so special? Join us then, and thanks for listening.
That's good enough.